In this video, we're going to show you how to replace a radiator on your Toyota Tacoma. This will be located in the nose of the vehicle. Let's get started. Be sure you have a drain bucket under you before you open up the petcock for the radiator using a pair of pliers, or if it's not too tight, you can just use your fingers. Let the coolant start to drain. Open the radiator cap to make the coolant drain faster. Once your coolant's done draining, go ahead and close the petcock. Remove the 9 clips for the upper radiator shroud cover. Using a small trim tool, pop them out. There should be 4 more right here. Ours are missing. Remove the 10mm bolts for the fan shroud on either side. The bolt for the fan shroud on the passenger side is located under the radiator hose. Remove the overflow hose off of the radiator. Push the fan shroud back. You may need to lift up. Pinch the hose clamp for the upper radiator hose. Slide it back. Pull the hose off of the radiator. We're going to tilt this back up out of the way. Pinch the clamp for the lower radiator hose. Slide it back on the hose. Remove the lower radiator hose. Pull the hose out of your way. Reaching through the lower grill, using a 12mm socket, we're going to remove the bolts on either side of the radiator. Remove the bolt. Do the same thing on the other side. Reaching through the front bumper, we're going to use a 12mm socket and remove the 2 top bolts for the radiator. Remove the bolt. Do the same thing on the other side. The vehicle we are working on has a manual transmission. If you have an automatic, you should have 2 oil cooler hoses, one right there and one right there. Pinch the clamps, pull the hoses off. When you pull the hoses off, fluid will come out. It will be transmission fluid. If you can, cap the lines to mitigate the fluid loss. Position the fan shroud as far back as you can. Lift up on the radiator and remove it from the vehicle. Before installing our radiator, we're going to twist these bushings so that our hooks are at the top. This is what holds the radiator. Do this on both sides. Install the radiator into the car, being very careful not to damage the fins. Pull the radiator to the front and install the hook. Do the same thing on the other side. Reaching in front of the upper radiator support, we're going to install the upper bolts for the radiator. You may need to pull slightly up on the radiator as you install the bolt. Get both top bolts started. Using a 15mm socket, we're going to hold the nut while we snug down the top bolts. Do the same thing on the other side. Get the bottom bolt started. We'll hold the back with a wrench and snug it down. Do the same thing on the other side. Lift up on the shroud. We're going to install the bottom first into the 2 plastic clips. Now we're going to pull it forward. Install the nutserts on either side of the radiator. Pull the fan shroud forward. Get the bolt started. Do this on both sides. Install the overflow hose onto the radiator. Snug down the bolts. Install the lower radiator hose. Pinch the clamp. Slide it back into place. If you have an automatic, now would be the time to reconnect your oil cooler lines. Pinch the clamps, pull them back into position. Be sure they're fully secured. Install the upper radiator hose. Pinch the clamp, pull it back into position. If the clamp has an indent in the hose, you're going to want to center it right back on that indent. Install the upper radiator trim cover. Install the plastic clips. And there should be 4 more going to the radiator shroud. Ours are missing. Completely fill the radiator with coolant. We have a coolant funnel installed on ours with the radiator completely full. We're going to leave the cap off. We have a coolant funnel here. We'll put a little bit more in it. We'll start our car and we'll wait for all of the bubbles to run out. Once the coolant is done bubbling, we can remove our coolant funnel and install the radiator cap. Once you're done bleeding the coolant, you're good to go.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.